Well, hello and welcome back. So you've made it this far. We're in the last week. This should be a pretty chill week, ideally. So you finished your book. Now we're going to move on to the final tests in the class. And the idea with my tests usually are it's not about volume anymore. You've been doing a ton of work to this point. Now you're just going to showcase what you've learned. So I want this to be your best work that you've done to this point. I want it to be detailed, thorough, aesthetically pleasing, very clear. So that's the goal. That's why you don't have, another 5 assignments as a test. I want to see what you've learned. So show it off. This is your chance to really showcase yourself. Now, this is just going to be a random exercise from the technical drawing book. So, you can either flip the book open or, we do have a picture in here that you can look at. And you are able to zoom. You can do like Control Plus or Control Scroll and it works. And sometimes it's kind of random, but sometimes you'll have some zoom buttons actually within the viewing area, but I don't see any. So yeah, Control Plus works, but obviously the caveat of that is when you go somewhere else, it also zooms that. All you're doing is zooming the entire web page. So anyway, you've got this, and you have a DWF for it as well, which you probably have never heard of that file format. But you may have already came across in our useful information folder within the course info folder. At the very bottom we have a viewing DWF reference models. So if you watch this and go to this link here, you'll have the software to check it out. And if you do have that, basically what you're going to see is a 3D model of the Millen Jack, and it'll help you as you're going along with this, drawing, to recreate the assembly and then the drawing itself. So make sure you're doing your discussion board, and then all you've got is this test. When you're done, make sure you pack and go it. And again, in that same area, you've got the Content Center video, which will help you to find the looks like you'll need a nut and a washer and some set screws from Content Center. And then you're going to pack and go it to send all of the files in one package, which obviously you've been doing to this point. And then make sure you have a PDF of it as well so I can mark it up as needed. Because even though it's a test, you still get to have multiple takes if you want. It's up to you. This is a huge portion of your grade, so I would suggest going all out and trying to get a 100. But the choice is yours. Okay, so let's talk about it a little bit. So I showed in a previous lecture, how to make these view representations, but you're going to want to make one for each part within it. And then also, in another lecture, I showed off the BOM and how I wanted it set up. Using the stock number being the class, the school year, and then, the item number. And I want these numbers to match this. So base should be your first one, sliding screw and so on. And if you actually do that numbering like that, what you can then do is actually sort your BOM by stock number. Everything's open in my other tab, but you could do that, or you can manually go through and change each item and then sort it, but you're still going to have to do the stock numbers, so you may as well do it the right way. And then make sure you need to have these columns just like I showed in that previous lecture, and make sure that you're filling out your descriptions and everything. The material just leave as it is, whatever it is, and then the quantity obviously the same. So really you should only, if you're doing this the right way, be editing these two columns and then of course the BOM to get the column layout that you see. Now, figured I would just kind of show off expectations, what I'm looking for. Now I have generically placed just the general 4 views on all of these, and I'll let you choose what you want to actually use. I would suggest here, instead of that regular side view, doing a section view. The reason being is as you can see, you get a lot of context information here. You can see where every part starts and stops. It's pretty great. So instead of a general side view, I would definitely suggest a section view. And then obviously this gives you room to bubble everything, because it may be hard to try to squeeze in bubbles for, like the pad and stuff like that in here. Although you could, you're going to get more effect from doing it in the section view. So, you should have your views, your drawing details, all your dimensions, center marks, center lines, balloons, and everything on the next page, and the page after, and the page after will be the same way. You're going to have all your center marks, center lines, dimensions, and a bubble. Now I didn't go and put all that because that's kind of, being a little too hand-holdy. But I would suggest putting the balloon on the ISO view for each of these. It's a little more clear to me. Again, you don't need all of these views, but I just wanted to show like kind of conceptually what you're going for. Now this one, you could probably get away with 3 views pretty easy, but you may need a special view just for that little notch, something like that. It's hard to say. I haven't detailed these myself, but clearly some of these, like this view, you don't need that. So, this is where you can kind of work on how you want to detail things. Just make sure that with each of these that you do have, like on the first page, view labels on each view, not the ISO view. Make sure they're named properly. If hidden lines should be on, put them on. I generally like to have them on everywhere, except for obviously like a section view or an ISO view. Get all your details in there. Make sure you're filling out your title block. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I guess one more thing, when you're doing these view reps, make sure, as I mentioned in the lecture before as well, to have associative checked. If you can't check it, that means that you have not chose a view rep. So that's how you'll know if you're on the right track. But yeah, it's gonna be a chill week. Just make sure everything is really pristine. You want things to be detailed to a T. Try to avoid having redundant dimensions, but capture all that information you have. Get all your bubbles. And yeah, it should be a nice way to wrap up this class. And this discussion board will be really simple. I'm just going to ask if you have any input, anything that you would like to change during this class so that I can make it better. So with that, I will see you all next semester. Good luck on your final.